Figures obtained by the ABC show Services Australia, which administers the child support scheme, referred more than 168,000 parents to the Australian Tax Office in the last financial year for having overdue tax returns. Women also face a greater economic disadvantage as they make up around 83% of support payment recipients. However, 3/4 of parents in the system are lodging their tax returns and meeting payment obligations. Some experts have pointed to poor literacy, mental health issues and failures in the system as other potential factors in non-lodgement. Let's get more on this. Joining us now is Yvette Seidel from Women's Legal Services Australia. Yvette, you've examined the data in this. You see these tactics in your work. Can you explain to us what are these tactics to avoid paying child support?
Good morning, Gemma. Look, there's a range of tactics that are used primarily by men in the child support system to either underpay or delay payment of child support payments. The tactics are things like working part-time, reducing the business turnover of companies. So pre-separation, a business, for example, might be turning over $500,000, and in a post-separation context, that can drop to well below that, around $50,000. And there's putting assets and property in the names of other people, and really the cost of this is being met by children who then don't have the means or aren't supported by the parent that's looking after them to have the life that the child support system was designed to ensure that they could have. So it's inconsistent with the Convention on the Rights of the Child and also the government's own national plan to protect women and children.
So what happens when someone doesn't lodge a tax return? How is a child support in that case calculated?
Well, in that case, then child support isn't paid at all, and so it relies on 85% in our report, and there was a Walser research report which did a comprehensive literature review of what was happening in these families, and it was 85% of women in the child support system that were actually missing out on these payments. So it's a burden, Gemma, that's being really heavily carried by women in families who have parental responsibility for the children. And it's in a cost of living crisis. You can understand that housing's gone up, the grocery bill's gone up, the cost of school uniforms gone up, and some women are receiving no financial support to raise their children.
Yvette, can people be can they be compelled to lodge a return, and are there punishments for being late?
Look, there are punishments that the Australian Tax Office can implement to punish people for not paying, but I think that it's even simpler than that, Gemma. And what could actually happen is that the ATO could actually look at the late lodgement where child support features between parents and try and encourage those lodgements. I think on the figures about 1 in 8 parents that are in the child support system are lodging late, and so that is really impacting and making the financial burden rest with women during a cost of living crisis.
And so you're saying the ATO could do more here. What about the government?
Yeah, look, the government could also step into the breach, and where there aren't payments in those cases where child support's been delayed, could actually pay that money and then recover it from the non-paying parent. There's other means that could be looked at too, and they include, as you've mentioned, having a nationally recognising the non-payment of child support as a form of economic abuse and of family violence. So we could introduce a presumption around that, and better enforcement, as I said, of the lodgement of tax returns by parents that are in the child support system, and also giving legal support so that women are able to challenge assessments when they think that they're being fit for the support of the child. And we really need to get back to the whole basis of what child support was about, which was to make sure that children were not punished and that their cost of living did not drop when their parents separated. And I think for the government to not look at these delayed child support payments is really state-sanctioned weaponisation of child support, and the state has to do better. We have known for 20 years what these tactics are, and it's time for some action so that women and children are protected in the post-separation context. This is a form of family violence, it is economic abuse, and it needs to be named up and nationally recognised as such to ensure that women and children have the protection that we all expect them to have in the tax system. And if we don't do something about this, we're trapping women and children in poverty.